The lawyer's phone call came one rainy Thursday morning while I was sitting in my tiny apartment in Boston. I was stirring my instant coffee, the steam curling up and fogging my glasses a little. I had to go to work soon at the bookstore, so I was trying to get myself ready for the day. I almost didn't answer the phone. I usually ignored numbers I didn't know because they were often scams or people asking for money. I already had enough problems to worry about. But something made me pick up the phone on the fourth ring. "Is this Selene Ardent?" a polite but serious voice asked. "Yes, this is me," I said carefully, my voice a little shaky. "This is Aloan Fairstone from Fairstone and Fields Attorneys at Law. I'm calling about the estate of Isolde Renford. I believe she was your grandmother." My spoon slipped from my fingers and clattered loudly against the mug. I almost dropped the whole cup. My grandmother, Grand Isolde, died 8 months ago. I hadn't been allowed to attend her funeral. My dad, Alaric Ardent, and his wife, Thalira, had made it very clear I was not welcome. I had felt sad, angry, and left out all at once. "Yes," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "She was my grandmother." "I need to arrange a meeting with you as soon as possible," Aloan continued. "There are things about her will that need your urgent attention." "There must be a mistake," I blurted out. "My dad told me I wasn't part of her will. He said she left everything to him and my half-sister." There was a short silence on the other end of the phone. "Miss Ardent," Aloan said carefully, "it is very important that we meet in person. Are you free this afternoon?" 3 hours later, I was sitting in a soft leather chair in Aloan Fairstone's office near Back Bay. I stared at the papers in front of me, trying to make sense of them. I could barely understand what I was seeing. According to the documents, my grandmother had left me $2 million, her beautiful townhouse in Beacon Hill, and several investment accounts. "This can't be right," I stammered again. "My dad always said I was adopted. He claimed that Grand Isolde was not really my grandmother, and that she had no reason to leave me anything." Aloan Fairstone, a kind-looking woman in her late 50s, with soft dark curls around her gentle face, looked at me with sympathy. "It's true, Selene. Your grandmother left very clear instructions that I give you this letter in person." She handed me an envelope with my name written in my grandmother's neat, looping handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. My heart pounded so fast I thought it might jump out of my chest. "My dearest Selene," the letter began, "if you are reading this, then I am gone. Aloan has finally been able to reach you. I have tried to see you over the past 3 years, but your father and Thalira made it impossible. You deserve to know the truth because the lies they told were cruel and unfair. You are not adopted. You are my real granddaughter, the daughter of my beloved Aurelia. Aurelia was your father Alaric's first wife, and she died in a car accident when you were 3 years old. Alaric married Thalira 8 months later. Thalira never wanted to accept that you existed. She pressured Alaric to give you up for adoption so they could start their own family. Sadly, Alaric agreed. But I fought for you, Selene. I threatened to go to court to get custody of you. I told them I would expose what they were doing. They only kept you because I forced them to." Tears started forming in my eyes. I had never felt so confused and amazed at the same time. My grandmother had fought for me when I had no idea. "Thalira has hated you ever since," the letter continued. "She convinced your father to treat you differently than Lyra and Caius. Every harsh word, every time they shut you out, every moment they made you feel like you didn't belong, that was Thalira's doing. And it was Alaric's weakness that allowed it." I felt a lump in my throat. All the times I had been sad, all the times I had felt invisible, all the times I thought I didn't belong, it wasn't my fault. "I tried to stay close to you," the letter said, "but Thalira made it almost impossible. She would cancel our visits at the last minute, block my calls, and eventually they moved you all the way to Worcester just to keep you away from me. The last time I saw you, you were 16. I've missed nearly 7 years of your life because of them. I am leaving everything to you, Selene. Not just because you are my granddaughter, but because you have carried your burdens with grace. I know about your university classes, your part-time jobs, and your tiny apartment in Boston. I hired a private investigator to keep me informed when your father and Thalira shut me out. I could barely believe it. My grandmother had been quietly watching over me all this time, even when I thought no one cared. Alaric and Thalira told everyone that my estate would be shared equally among all the grandchildren. They spent money they didn't even have, counting on an inheritance that isn't coming. They are in for a big shock. I hope this money helps you build the life you truly want. More than that, I hope this letter finally gives you the truth you always deserved. You are loved. You are wanted. You always have been. All my love, Isolde Renford. The keys to the Beacon Hill townhouse were in a safe deposit box. My grandmother had been waiting for me to take it. I read the letter 3 times before the words sank in. Not adopted. My real mother had died when I was 3. The Lyra wasn't my mother at all. She was just the woman who married my father and spent 20 years making me feel like a stranger in my own family. Eloan spoke gently. The private investigator documented a lot about your life, Selene. Your grandmother cared very deeply about how you were treated. She gave me another folder. Inside were photos and reports from recent years. Pictures of me walking to work, sitting in my tiny studio apartment, buying cheap groceries. My grandmother had been watching over me, caring for me in ways my own father never did. What did my father and the Lyra think they were going to inherit? I asked. Eloan smiled slightly. Your grandmother made them believe they would get most of her estate. She wanted them to spend money they didn't have, thinking they would pay it back with the inheritance. How much did they spend? I asked, my voice shaking. Quite a lot, Eloan said. Your father bought a brand new Jaguar last year, almost $60,000. The Lyra redid the entire kitchen in their house for $35,000. Your half-sister Lyra went on a designer shopping spree and took a trip to Santorini for $20,000. I thought about my own life during that time. I had been working long shifts at the bookstore, attending university classes on my breaks, living off toast and tea in my tiny apartment, just to get by. Meanwhile, my family had been spending money they didn't even have. So, what did they actually inherit? I asked. Eloan looked through the papers carefully. Each of your half-siblings received $4,000. Your father and the Lyra? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. My head spun. I couldn't believe it. Your grandmother made it very clear, Eloan said softly, that Alaric lost his right to inherit when he chose the Lyra's wishes over protecting his own daughter. I leaned back in the leather chair, trying to understand everything. Nearly $2 million, a beautiful townhouse in Beacon Hill, and most importantly, the truth about who I really was and why I had been cast aside. There's one more thing, Eloan added gently. Your grandmother wanted me to be there when you told your family about the inheritance. She wanted a witness to their reaction. That's why I will be going with you to Newton tomorrow. I had a cashier's check for $2 million folded in my coat pocket. I hadn't set foot in my father's house for over a year. The last time I had been there was when he told me I was too old to keep asking for help paying my university fees. The house looked exactly as I remembered it from the outside. Suburban, neat, with the shiny Jaguar parked on the drive and perfectly trimmed hedges lining the walkway. The Lyra opened the door. The moment she saw me, her face hardened. Selene, what are you doing here? She asked sharply. We need to talk, I said. All of us. It's about Grand Isolde's will. Her expression flickered, moving from sharp to wary to tired. Fine, come in, she said, leading us into the sitting room. My father was there, watching football on the television, and Lyra and Caius were glued to their phones. The room had been redecorated since my last visit, with new furniture and a big, soft rug that made it feel different than the way I remembered. I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding. I had to tell them the truth. Her truth was just starting to come out. The house looked different. There was new furniture that shined, fresh paint on the walls, and fancy pictures that looked expensive. Everything looked like it belonged in a magazine. Alaric, the Lyra called, her voice sweet, but it didn't sound real. Selene is here about my father's will. My father looked up, and I could see the exact moment his eyes landed on Eloan Fairstone. She was standing beside me, wearing a neat navy suit, holding a slim briefcase. She looked calm and professional. And who is this? My father asked, his voice tight and nervous. Eloan Fairstone, she said, holding out her hand. I was Mrs. Isolde Renford's lawyer. Suddenly, everyone in the room turned their attention to us. Lyra put her phone down. Caius stopped playing his game. The Lyra quickly sat down and smoothed her hair, trying to look calm. Well, Alaric said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes, I guess it's time to take care of Mom's things. Thank you for coming all the way out here. Eloan's voice was calm and serious. Actually, I'm here for Selene. Everyone went quiet. I don't understand, the Lyra said, her voice tired and confused. Eloan opened her folder carefully. I'm here to tell Selene about her inheritance from Isolde Renford's estate. My father's voice cracked as he spoke. There must be some mistake. Selene isn't. Selene is adopted, Eloan said firmly. Her voice was sharp like a blade. The Lyra gasped. Isolde wasn't really her grandmother. She has no reason to leave Selene anything. Eloan turned to me. Selene, Do you want to tell them what you found out yesterday, or should I? I stood up slowly, my fingers brushing the letter I had in my pocket. My hands were shaking a little, but my voice was strong and clear. I found out that I'm not adopted. My mother was Aurelia Renford, and she died when I was 3 years old. I found out that the Lyra tried to convince my father to give me up for adoption, but they didn't because Grand Isolde said she would fight for me. The Lyra's face turned pale, and her mouth opened as if she wanted to speak, but no words came out. Lyra and Caius looked at each other shocked. That's not true. The Lyra stammered. That's impossible. And I also found out, I continued, that Grand Isolde left me her whole estate. Her Beacon Hill townhouse, all her investments, and $2 million in cash. Silence filled the room. No one spoke. That can't be right, Alaric whispered. She promised us she would divide everything equally among the grandchildren. She lied, I said simply. Just like you lied to me my whole life. Lyra spoke first. What about us? What did we get? Eloan opened her folder and read carefully. Lyra and Caius each get $4,000. Caius's eyes went wide. $4,000? That's it. What about the house? The money? Everything. It all goes to Selene, Eloan said evenly. The Lyra jumped up. This is not fair. We'll fight the will. Selene has the legal right to this, Eloan said calmly. Mrs. Renford wrote everything down carefully. She had 2 doctors confirm she was of sound mind. Contesting the will cost a lot and won't work. Alaric sank back into his chair, looking tired and defeated. Selene, you have to understand, he said weakly. We never meant for things to go this way. Really? I shot back. From where I'm standing, it looks like you got exactly what you wanted. You erased my mom from our lives. You got to pretend to have the perfect family with the Lyra and your children. The only thing you didn't count on was Gran Isolde seeing the truth. We raised you, the Lyra said desperately. We fed you, clothed you, gave you a roof over your head. Doesn't that count for something? You did the bare minimum the law required, I said firmly. And you made sure I knew every single day that I wasn't wanted. I looked around at the people who shaped my childhood, who made me feel worthless and like a burden. The Jaguar, the kitchen renovation, Lyra's designer wardrobe, Caius's holiday to Greece. How much did you spend thinking you'd inherit Gran's money? Alaric wouldn't look at me. About $160,000, the Lyra whispered. Well, I said, standing tall, I guess you figured it out. You always tell people to figure things out. Eloan and I started toward the door, but Lyra's voice stopped us. Selene, wait. You're not really going to keep everything, are you? I mean, we're still family. I turned to look at her. Sweet Lyra, who never stood up for me when the Lyra hurt me. Family? I said softly. Like how you included me in family photos. Oh wait, you didn't. Or invited me on holidays. No, you didn't. Or stood up for me when the Lyra told everyone I was adopted. No, you didn't. But the money could help all of us, Caius said. We could all benefit. It's helping me, I said firmly. Because I'm the one Gran Isolde wanted to help. If you want money, get jobs, take out loans, figure it out yourselves. Eloan and I were almost at the door when the Lyra called one last time. Selene, please. We made mistakes, but we're still your family. Doesn't that mean something? I paused, my hand on the doorknob. Alaric is my father. Aurelia was my mother. You're just the woman who married my dad and spent 20 years making me wish I'd never been born. We left them in their beautifully redecorated sitting room, surrounded by things they bought with money they didn't really have. Their illusions were gone now. 6 months later, I moved into Grand Isolde's Beacon Hill townhouse. It was beautiful. There were 4 bedrooms, high ceilings, sunlight streaming through tall windows, a big kitchen where she used to bake lemon cakes, and a garden full of roses she had cared for until the very end. I found photos I had never seen before. Pictures of me as a baby in my mother Aurelia's arms, family gatherings where I looked happy and loved, proof of the life I could have had if my mother had not died so young. I also found letters from Grand Isolde, carefully written but never sent. Birthday cards she bought for me, but was never allowed to deliver. Christmas gifts returned unopened. I finished my degree in business administration with a focus on finance. Thanks to Gran's money, I didn't have to work, but I wanted to. I started a nonprofit to help young adults who were leaving foster care. Kids who know exactly what it feels like to feel unwanted and alone. My father has called me only once since that day in Eloan's office. He asked if I would consider helping them avoid losing their house. I told him to speak to my attorney if he wanted to discuss anything about money. Laura sends me Christmas cards every year filled with lines about forgiveness, and moving forward. I throw them away unopened. Lyra lost her designer lifestyle. She couldn't keep up payments without the inheritance she had counted on. Caius had to take a job to help their parents cover the bills. They learned what I had always known, that money doesn't just appear because you wish for it, and that every action has a consequence. But the best part isn't the money. The best part is the truth. For the first time in my life, I know who I am. I know that at least one person loved me unconditionally. I know that my mother didn't abandon me. She was taken from me. I know that feeling out of place wasn't my fault. Sometimes I sit in Grand Isolde's garden reading her letters, turning the pages of her photo albums, and feeling her presence around me. I feel the love she wanted to give me, but couldn't while alive. I think about the relationship that was stolen from me by my father's weakness and Thalira's cruelty. I wish I could thank her in person. I wish I could tell her that her last gift wasn't just the money. It was the truth. And the truth, I have learned, is worth far more than $2 million. Though I have to admit, the $2 million doesn't hurt either. Living in Gran Isolde's house was like living in a dream. I could see sunlight coming in through the big windows every morning. The rooms smelled faintly of flowers and lemon cake. The walls were filled with photos of family moments I had never seen before. I could finally see my mother holding me as a baby, smiling at me. It made my heart feel full. I could see her love in every picture, even though she wasn't there to hold me in real life. I went through the letters she had written. Some were short notes telling me she loved me. Others were longer, talking about her trying to stay in my life for years, but my father and the Lyra had stopped her. Some letters were about my birthdays. Others about holidays she wanted to celebrate with me. I felt like I was meeting her for the first time. I finished my degree, but I wanted to do more than just have money. I wanted to help people. So, I started a nonprofit to help kids who were leaving foster care. Kids who felt unwanted, lonely, and forgotten. Kids who needed someone to believe in them. I wanted to be that someone for them, like Gran Isolde had been for me. Sometimes, at night, I sit in the garden with her letters and photo albums. I can feel her presence. I can feel her love. I can hear her whispering in my heart, telling me that everything will be okay. I finally understand who I am. I know my mother didn't leave me. I know that the sadness I felt as a child wasn't my fault. And for the first time, I feel free. Even though it took years of pain, lies, and heartbreak, I finally have the truth. And that is the most valuable thing I could ever have. The money is nice, but the truth is priceless. I walk through the house and the garden, feeling proud. I know that I am loved. I know that my mother loved me. I know that Gran Isolde loved me. I know that I am worthy, just as I am. Sometimes I imagine my old family, the ones who hurt me, living without the money they thought would be theirs. I feel sad for them a little, but mostly, I feel proud of myself. I didn't let them define who I am. I didn't let them take my life from me. I have my own life now. My own home. My own love. My own happiness. And every time I open a letter from Gran Isolde or look at her photo albums, I feel her close to me. I feel her smiling. I feel her love. And I know, no matter what, I will never be alone again.